How you going, guys? Jitsimi here, and today I thought I'd do a updated video on our flight training series that I started. Now that I have actually done some training at school, it also helped me as well instill some more revision for myself from what I've learnt over the last 2 weeks. We're sitting here at Archerfield in one of the Cessna's 152s that is actually at the airfield that I'm at, Victor Hotel Whiskey Romeo Quebec, I believe, and it's not the same livery, but it's very close. It's just got it's a red aircraft. It's red and white, so I picked one of the liveries from the Mega Pack, and that's what we went with there. So we're just sitting in that. I actually fly Piper Archer 3s. This aircraft's very similar with the 172 is probably more similar, but the carb heat and all of that sort of stuff is what the Piper Archer has. I can't remember if the 172 has. I haven't flown it in MSFS for some time, so I've always been in the Diamond or this little aircraft. So we'll be using this one anyways for the carb heat and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, we'll be doing. We'll go out to the eastern training area here out at Archerfield, which is out over the water, and we'll show you how to navigate and all that sort of stuff with the lovely backdrop in the background there of Brisbane City, and the sun coming through those clouds, which is really good. Brisbane City is just out that way. We've got a nice morning coming through these lovely clouds out here. So we'll go out and yeah. But one thing to note, this is not the default Cessna 152. This is a Cessna 152X mod that you can get, and the link will be there in the description. What they've done with this is similar to the A320, and someone has taken it upon themselves to completely change the aircraft and its aspects of fuel consumption, starting, heating the aircraft, all that sort of stuff. So it takes a little while for the oil to get heated up, which is really good. So, or the engine as well. So we're going to have a look at that, and it's also quite hard to start. So we're going to see if we can start it today as well. So without further ado, let's get there into the cockpit, and I'll show you real quick where we're going to go using a VTC, which is what I use to train with now these days. VTC or VFR chart, whatever you wish to call it. So here it is. So we'll just go ahead and scroll on in here. Now, at first glance, you're like, oh my god, there is so much information. Yes, there is. We'll do a complete video on VTC charts later. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of YouTube videos out there for everyone else's needs and all that sort of stuff. So if you need to go and have a look at it now, go for it. But from my understanding, it's pretty easy to understand once you get used to it. So can't remember what AF Archerfield Centre, I think that is it. So the dotted lines that you see around Archerfield, which is noted by that little airfield, is the controlled airspace of Archerfield. So that's what Archerfield looks at. And as you can see, CLL 1500, if I am above that, I need to talk to Brisbane Centre. But because I'm below that, I need to talk to the D-Class tower, which will be Archerfield, if Archerfield obviously is tower controlled. Now, I'm pretty sure Archerfield's only open from 7 o'clock to 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. So this outside of those times is all multicom. So you'll be using your own communications in and around this area. Things to note, there's a golf course off to the west. There's a stadium off to the kind of like northeast position from where we are at the moment, and a couple of, like 3 or 4 golf courses up north as well. Now these purple lines are our VFR tracks. We're going to be heading out to the eastern training area today, so we'll be heading out towards Target which is actually a Target shopping centre. We'll be able to spot that on the way out. So we just keep coming out this direction and head out and find the road and all that sort of stuff. Now we're in a 152, so we don't actually have a GPS, and for some reason the VFR chart or the VFR map in the game is not tracking properly. So that's unfortunate, but that's alright. We'll make do. Once you get used to the area, that's good. So as you can see, we're at 1500 or 1000, so we'll be leaving at 1000 feet because 1500 people will be coming in to Archerfield at 1500. We'll be leaving at 1000, so we have that 500 feet buffer, and we're not going to track direct to target, just in case there's an aircraft coming in the real world, obviously. So they'll be coming in at 1500, so we'll be kind of out to the left of it. And as you can see, the CLL has gone up to 2000, so that means we can climb up to 2000 without having to contact Tower or Brisbane Centre. And we're going to be heading out until we find Mount Cotton. Once we hit Mount Cotton, that is our airspace area where we can start ascending to 3500, and this is the Eastern Training Area out here. So Eastern Training Area goes pretty much as far down as possible out around these islands and yeah, out on the ocean out here. So we'll be doing our straight level flights. So there's 3 different flights. You got cruise, fast cruise, slow, and safe slow cruise, and we'll go over those, and we'll go over the climbing and descending briefs. So best rate of climb, best angle of climb, and cruise climb. So we'll be doing all those, and we'll be doing it with the Cessna we've got here today, and we'll be using the real charts as the real checklist as well, and all the different flows. So without further ado, guys, let's get back into the aircraft, and we shall do it. And there we go. Right, so just bear with me. I'm just going to bring up the checklist. Now, I'm not going to show you the checklist because I don't want to get done for copyright, but we will be using the Bassair checklist, and you can find the correct checklists. Just type in Cessna 172 Bassair or whatever. It is on the website, so you can find the checklists on Google. So anyways, right, so we don't use the checklist to start the aircraft. We actually get it installed into our head and use the checklist to make sure if we've missed anything. So let's see how I do, shall we? Right, so we're in the aircraft. So this is the Cessna 152X, and I did play around with this aircraft yesterday just to have a look to see if I could actually start it, and it didn't go too well. So yeah, so we will see. Okay, so we kind of can't see at the moment because of the lovely daylight, so I have a flashlight. So anyways, fuel on, come up here, we turn battery on. Let's go, we'll leave the dome light off for now. Make sure that taxi ready for takeoff. Have a look around. Let's go ahead and turn on battery. Making sure that there's no flags in the window there. Making sure that our directional indicator looks exactly the same or very similar to our compass. Making sure that our speed is reading 0. That obviously hasn't started in our gyro with the attitude indicator. Making sure everything is good. Obviously that's out, so we're going to have to call ATC and find out what's going on. And nothing has changed into the nav, so we're going to go ahead. I am using vPilot, so I will be making a call. We'll also go ahead and have a look at the rest of that in a little bit, just getting rid of the Radeon. Making sure that the RPM is down and we've got no charge going on there. That's cool. Coming down here, checking all the circuit breakers, putting the mixture in. Mixture's now in, and throttle quarter forward. Alright, Alright, so we're pretty good there. So let's go ahead and make sure we have done the checklist. So pre-flight done. Flight and authorization complete. MR checked and signed. Passenger briefing completed. We don't have any passengers, so we're all good. Seatbelts adjusted and locked. Brakes tested and set. So we did not test the brakes, but I do know they're set because we looked at it before, which is the pull on. Circuit brakes are in. Mixture is rich. Throttle 1/2 inch open. Closed if engine's warm. Carburetor on cold. Rotating beacon on, which we have done, and fuel shut-off valve on. Propeller area clear and master switch on. Okay, so we've done all that. Let's go prime as required. Right, so 1/4 inch should be around about there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and prime as required. So prime 3 cold, ignition start when engine release. So we're going to do this pretty quickly. Okay, so we turn 1, 2, 3. I got so we're just turning the on to both. So 1, 2, 3. Clear prop. And as you can see, it does take a bit to start. So, why is that the case? Let's go and see if we got flooded. Just trying the flood now. Alright. There we go. Took a little bit. So as you can see, the Cessna 152X is a little bit of a nasty little beast. So some of the good things, some of the points to make out. I'll go ahead and turn the dome light on. As you can see, the dome light has not turned on. So some of the points to make out with the new aircraft. The dome light has not turned on, even though we turned it on. If I go under 1,000, you'll see a light come up underneath the amp meter because it's not charging, which is really good. The fuel is now displaying correct, so you can actually do quite long distances in this aircraft. The RPM, I haven't gone for a fly in this, so the RPM's a little different, and a few other bits and pieces in the aircraft, as you just seen trying to start. Now having a look down here, oil temperature is not cold, it's not hot yet, sorry, not straight away like the old 152, and oil pressure is sitting normal, so that's all good. So this aircraft does need a run-up check if it's brand new for a flight for the first day. So yeah, without further ado, under here is the brightness knob. I don't know if this is actually real, but it must be, might be. And there you go, so we now have light in the cockpit, so I'm just going to go there. Alright, so now we have light in the cockpit. So what we'll do is we'll do our flow scan again. So fuel's on. We'll come along here and turn our navigation on and turn our taxi lights on. Come along there, parking brakes set. We don't have a flag there. Everything's good. Attitude came up and all of that sort of stuff. So now we'll go ahead and tune into Archerfield's weather information. 900. Go ahead and listen to that in a minute. So we got RPM, good, good, good. And all circuit breakers are still in, and we're at 1000 RPM. Alright, so we'll go ahead and listen to the weather information. So, one thing, with COM 1, I've been taught to always put your comms that you're going to actually talk to somebody in COM 1, and comms that you're just going to listen to somebody in COM 2. So I'll go ahead and click on COM 2.
Archer Airport information, Charlie 1900 Zulu. Line 169er at 17. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 700 feet, few clouds at 4,300 feet, few clouds at 12,100 feet. Temperature 14. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.26. Visual runway 10 left and visual runway 10 right in use. Landing and departing runway 10 left and runway 10 right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Charlie.
No. So that was all intents and purposes absolutely wrong just there. Well, it kind of was and it kind of wasn't. Our QNH is actually 1023 or 3021, I believe. So it's 1020, that's 1021, 1022, 1023, right there, or there, either. Not the one that they said, because the one that they said is 26, which will bring in a height out here, which is not correct. But anyways, that's all good. So we're going to go ahead and taxi out to the runway. Now, I didn't actually hear what runway it was, so let's listen to it.
Archer Airport information, Delta 1900 Zulu.
Might be 28, I think.
At 17. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 700 feet, few clouds at 4,300 feet, few clouds at 12,100 feet. Temperature 14. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.27. Visual runway 10 left and visual runway 10 right in use. Landing and departing.
Alright, runway 10 left or right. We'll go on left because the tower's not up, because it is early morning still. It's not even 6 o'clock, but that's alright, and that is in real time too. So, but anyways, we do have the oil temp starting to rise, so we can actually taxi now and get out there. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So Archerfield, Whiskey Romeo, Quebec, Cessna 152, taxi into runway 10 left for Eastern Training Area. So that's all we have to do. We'll go ahead and put the parking brake off. Give it some thrust. Now I have changed a bit of the sensitivity. Alright, put the brakes on just to make sure they work. Good. So, because the sensitivity of the rudder for this aircraft was quite high. Alright, so now we're moving. I'll just bring it back down to low idle, about 1000. Don't need to do anything there. So yeah, this Cessna has really changed from the default Cessna. So if you're looking for a mod that makes the aircraft look really good, or feel even better like a real Cessna, this is it. He's also changed the engine with the RPM, which we will find out in the in our climb, cruise descents, and straight and level flights. We'll also be doing we'll be going out to the southeastern training area, or southern training area, in our next video for turns, stalls, and a few other bits and pieces. But we'll do some climb and descents and straight and level flights out at the southern training area. Alright. So over here is our run-up bay. So not that one, that's the turboprop area. And that's actually really in the real world. There's a whole, like in real life, there's a whole bunch of markers and stuff. But that shaded color is actually real, which is really good. Alright, so I'll just park him here. Park brake on. Brakes on. Let's go ahead and we've got our fuel. All lights are in. No, nothing in the windows. Good there. Good there. Radios are all tuned up still. We're at 1,000. Alright. Alright, so this aircraft, we bring it up to 1,700. 1,700 RPM. That's all good. So magnetos, so the switch is down here. We go left, watch for a drop, which there is. Bring it back. Right or left. So it's up to you which one you do first. I did right first. Some people do left first. Done. Alright, so now we've done our magneto check. We'll have a quick look through there. Make sure our T's and P's are good. They're all in the green. Come along here. Making sure we're all good there. Don't have a window there. We have positive amp meeting charge. Everything's good. All our circuit breakers are in. Grab the carb heat. Pull that on. Watch for a drop. Put our carb heat back on. And bring it down to low idle. Now, low idle, we should not drop below 600. There's 900. 850. And she stopped, which is really good. Alright, so back up to 1,000. About 1,000, 1,100. Alright, so going off the checklist. So we've done our taxis, brakes test, flight instruments checked, run-up checks, set parking brake, rich below 3,000. Elevator trim was set for takeoff. We did check that. I probably grazed over it. Sorry about that. Throttle was set to 1,700 RPM. Magneto checked left and right. No more than 125 RPM. 50 between the two. Carburetor heat. We did that. We also checked the suction gauge. Well, I did, but I didn't show you. But anyways, the suction gauge is right there, which should have been in the green, which it was when I checked. You can rewind the video and call me a liar if you wish. Engine instruments and altimeter checked. Throttle, slow idle, and not below 600, which is really good. And throttle RPM, it was 1,000. Alright, so our next checklist we need to really quickly do is cabin doors closed and locked, flight controls free and correct, flight instruments set, fuel valve shut off checked on, mixture rich below 3,000, elevator trim for set for takeoff, throttle friction lock if it's up to you, navigation aids, all that sort of stuff done, wing flap set for takeoff. We're not doing any wing flaps today. Departure brief and takeoff safety brief complete, and parking brake off. I'm not going to run through the safety brief today, but it is in the checklist if you do find it on thing, and I will put the checklist in the description down below, as you can get it from Google, so it's not a big deal. One thing in Archer Field, we actually set our score code to 3,000 because it's an Archer Field aircraft. So yeah. Alright, so once we've done that, we've got to do our pista checks. So pista is pitot heat, instruments, switches, transponder trim, and altimeter. We do that on the road, or you can do it here, so not a big deal. Alright, so we'll head down to 10 left. So we're going to swing out here to the right. Now, as you can see, it looks like we have now changed. So there you go. So for some reason the aircraft was not synced with the real world weather. So now we're at 3027, which is what the altimeter said before. Really weird. That's alright. So live weather is still not quite fixed in MSFS, but it will be. And if Active Sky comes out prior to that, then I'll be getting Active Sky, because Active Sky is absolutely amazing. Not that I really want to spend any money, but the way it just injects weather into the sim is just amazing for all the other sims anyway, so I'll be getting that on this sim as well. Alright, so we are picking up some speed. Let's go ahead and should be able to turn that dome light off now. Alright, so as you come up to this runway up here, you'll note that there's a big yellow cross. This isn't actually true, so 4 right is actually real, so we'll just turn our lights and strobes, landing lights and strobes on, so we're crossing 4 right. So this big yellow cross denotes that the runway does not work. However, it is very, very serviceable. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off now, and then we'll turn them back on when we cross runway 4 left. I haven't actually taken off on these ones, and they are grass in the real world, I believe. Not tarmac. I think this one is tarmac, 4 left. I can't remember. I'll have to have a look. You can probably have a look on Google Maps. Oh, there we go. So, lights off. Trim was set for takeoff, which is good. I had to change that again. Now we're at to 30. Let me. Yeah, alright. We'll leave it on 3028. So yeah, it's around there. That's what it's normally set to. Alright, now we're going to swing around to the left here. So I have fixed up the curve for the sensitivity of the rudder, which is really good. Otherwise this Cessna would be all over the place. Alright, before runway enter... Oh, I just ran over it. Alrighty, so pista checks. So pitot heat. We don't need the pitot heat on for today. It is quite cold outside, as you can see, and it's not quite warm. I believe in the old 52 it was already up here. So yeah, the X is doing really well. So pista cheat, pitot heat on. All our instruments are lined and checked, so let's go ahead and have a look here. So south and somewhat south. Now the compass is always mirrored to your directional indicator, so be very careful with that. Instruments checked, so lights and switches are on, so landing lights. I'm using a Alpha flight yoke, so I have light switches on that. So landing lights and strobes on, so we should have our navigation lights and taxi lights. So there's a beacon on as already. You don't necessarily need your navigation lights during the day because you've got your strobes and you've got your beacon on, but we're going to just have our navigation lights on anyways. And we have our trim and amp meter in tolerance. Now amp meter will be in tolerance there, as you can see. So we're actually using power because it was under 1,000, but once we get flying we will actually have some amps going through. Make sure our transponder is squawking 3000, and we are set for trim. Yeah, cool. Right, so let's get up and out of here. Again, small disclaimer, I am a student pilot, so take everything with a grain of salt, and we'll go from there. But hopefully this will get some of you people that have never flown before some sort of enjoyment out of the simulator. So we'll go ahead and line up on the runway. As you noticed, I did not follow the yellow line, so yeah, try not to follow the yellow line and just come straight down the guts of the runway. So once you're on the runway and you've been given the all clear, so Archerfield, Whiskey Romeo, Quebec, taking off runway 10 left. And off we go. You probably noted that I didn't call before entering the runway. That's my bad, so sue me. That's alright. So we'll just keep monitoring all the speed. So speed is now positive. We're coming up to 60. And up we go. So as you can see, 152 is very touchy. Alright, so now I want the horizon on takeoff. Up around, see where the dash, the black part meets the white part, so the dash. I want the dash roughly on the horizon there. Might have to turn that dome light back on because you can't see it all. So we'll just hold it there. Alright, so we're coming out to 500 now. And because we're going out to the eastern training area, we'll just keep going straight. So takeoff speeds is around about 66, 75. Alright. Just a little bit of back trim there. And we'll level off here at 1,000 feet. Otherwise we'll have to call tower. So just lower the nose. Gain some speed. Lower the nose. Gain some speed. And we'll bring it back down to 2,300 RPM. Alright. Lower the nose. So you want to, for a straight and level flight, you want to try and keep it at 2/3 ground and the rest sky. That lovely circle thing that does not look like a stadium is actually a stadium. So that will be the end of Archerfield airspace. And because it's Archerfield airspace end, we go back to VFR squawk code, and there we go. So that's it there. That mountain out to our right is Mount Cotton, so we want that to our right, because target is out this way somewhere. Don't worry too much about the turns. We will do another video on that with a few other lessons as well. We're just going to do climbing and descending and straight and level flight out here. We'll do more climbing and descending out at the southern because we can go higher. So keeping in tolerance with 1,000 feet, 50 plus or minus 50 feet. Otherwise tower would get a bit annoyed and we'll have to call them. We can actually go back to, we can go up to what, 1,500. Now we actually are within right, so go up to 2,000 now, so we'll actually do that. So we're going to do our best rate of climb, and that is just full throttle. And we bring the aircraft dash, the black part, up to the horizon line. Done. Now that's full throttle and raise up. Now standard operating procedures, I'll actually teach you when I get out there, but for now we'll just go with that. At 500 feet, now we're going to 2,000, but at 500 feet we lower the nose, because all good pilots do, to check out, make sure that there's no aircraft out and about, left and right. We got our visual reference point there, which is the mountains. Back up again. We'll head up to 2,000. This is also installing some revision for myself too when I go out for flying next week. I'm actually locked down for 3 days due to my housemate getting locked down from his work. So I needed some revision, so why not teach people how to fly in a simulator? Alright, now we're at 2,000, let's lower the nose, find our visual reference point, there it is, Mount Cotton, and we'll hold the aircraft right here, just lower the nose just a sad, get our speed up, once our speed starts coming up, and it's roughly where we want it, let's bring our RPM back down to 2300. There it is, roughly. Let the speed come up a little bit more. And because we're holding some back pressure on the aircraft, let's hold some back trim. Alright. So we're doing really, really well now. So we should have a mine coming up here. I believe that's one of the mines. It doesn't look very crash hot at the moment, but when we get closer, the graphics should sort itself out. Over there, somewhere out the back here, is target. I believe that building just there, on the very end, is IKEA. A blue IKEA building in the sim. It's not IKEA. Target is back there somewhere. That long building just coming underneath our wing is target. That's why we came out to the, like, somewhat the left of the mountain, or flying roughly over the mountain. Otherwise, because some aircraft keep the mountain to the right on the way in, fly directly over target. Anyways, we're slowly dropping the nose, so we'll pick it back up. And there's one of the mines down there, so we'll just we're in the right spot. And we'll head out to the fork in the river, or the kink in the river just in front of us. So that's our reference point. Yep. Alright. So, easiest way to remember this, we'll start teaching is stuff that I know, or that I've been taught now, is ALAP cycles. So, attitude, looking at the attitude of your aircraft. So, not looking in here, we're looking out visually on the engine cowling, where the end of your engine, where the propeller starts, and looking at the horizon to sky. So 1/3 ground and 2/3 sky, or whatever it is. I got to remember. So 1/3 ground, 2/3 sky. So having a look, we've pretty much got most of the sky there, and we've got 1/3 ground showing. Now, attitude. So yeah. So we got attitude, pitch, attitude, performance. Okay, so ALAP cycle, we're just having a look. So looking out, and our performance, we don't have to look at our speed. We're not looking at our speed, so we've obviously come up. So just lower the nose. Have a look out here again. Looking out. Looking back in. Looking out. Looking back in. So, attitude, look out, attitude, performance, that's it. ALAPs, attitude, look out, and attitude, performance. So we have a look. So don't worry about the vertical speed indicator. That is never correct. It's always laggy. So, attitude, got my visual reference point. Looking out for other aircraft. Attitude, so checking that I've got 1/3 ground still. And performance. My speed, sitting at 100. So I didn't even pick the speed, I already know it's going to be that speed. So, attitude, look out. Yeah, attitude, performance. So we're sitting here at lovely 2,000 feet. Alright, attitude, look out, attitude, performance. Checking that. Now, checking to see that little tiny ball is in balance. So that's a little bit of right rudder. So as you can see, it's not in balance yet. Bam, we're in balance. So a little bit of right rudder and you're good. I'll teach you more of that in the turns and over time as well. So don't worry about that. Attitude, look out, attitude, performance. Alright, so we're just in what we call cruise. We want to go down to, fast cruise is quite simple, really. So fast cruise we just want to go a little bit faster than what we are. So we're just in normal cruise. So fast cruise, I'm going to take it up to 2500. And we're just holding the same configuration. However, we need to put some more forward, because as we speed up, we gain more lift. So we need to put in more forward yoke, just to keep it at 2000. Making sure we're staying at 2500. Now, why would you use fast cruise? Fast cruise, maybe to get out to a training area in time so you can do some more training. You might be running late and you want to land before your meeting or something like that. So, yeah. But making sure that you do not exceed the yellow line as best you can. Okay, this aircraft's not designed to go 120 knots. It can, but you're not allowed to go over 149 knots. As you can see, just keeping forward momentum on the yoke, and it just wants to climb as it speeds up a little. Okay, so again, do a quick checks, looking around the aircraft. That's pretty good. Attitude, lookout, attitude, performance are at 2000, and we got a lag spike just there. Sorry about that. Right, so now we want to go back to normal. So make sure we're all good. Bring it back down to 2300 RPM. Holding back pressure because we want to not drop the aircraft, and we don't want to climb either. So just hold it slightly until the aircraft starts lowering its nose. We're good. Attitude, lookout, attitude, performance, which we're good. It's starting to climb, so we just drop. Looking out after we check our attitude, which is just out the nose, 2/3 ground. And I'm holding back pressure, so I'm going to go ahead and trim back. So, nice. So, the next one is slow cruise. So we've done normal cruise, we've done fast cruise, and now we want to do slow cruise. How do we do slow cruise? So first off, we pick our reference point, which will just come out let's head out towards this opening. Don't worry about the turns, we'll get to the turns later. So there's an opening out onto the water out here, so we'll use that as our reference point. So you never really use the instruments flying visually or learning how to fly an aircraft. Always look outside. You're trying to visually see everything as best you can. If you do everything correct, your performances should all be the same. I just rose the nose a little bit in that turn, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop some altitude back down to 2000. Alright. So slow cruise. What do we do for slow cruise? Now we're going to be completely slow here. So first off, have a look out. So we got our attitude. We're a bit high still. And we want to be in slow cruise. So first, carb heat on. Bringing it back. And holding the attitude, okay? We don't want to lower the nose. We don't want it climbing. We're just holding the attitude. So about 1800, 1900. Holding. Let's give it some trim now that we have some back pressure coming on. Now you'll notice that we're bringing the nose up to the horizon. So around about, we'll actually say 2100 RPM there. We're rising a bit, so I'll just lower the nose a bit more. And there we go. Got a little bit of back pressure, so I'm going to go ahead and trim some more. Right, so now we're in slow cruise. Slowly climbing a bit, so we'll just lower the nose just a tad more. There we go. But we're in slow cruise now, so we've done our fast cruise, we've done our normal cruise, and now we're in slow cruise. However, this slow cruise is a little dangerous because we can't really see over the dash. So, we'll go into the next configuration of slow cruise. Now, we'll just lower the nose just a tad, just so we're not climbing any further. We want to go into our next one, so we'll just lower some flaps. Put the carb heat back on. And as we do that, with the lowering of the flaps, we'll just lower the nose. And we are climbing, so we'll just bring the climb back down. And looks like we're holding steady there, even though we are climbed a bit. So you kind of get the gist of it. Let's get back down to 2000. We are going a bit fast there, so and bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Yeah. So now we're back at our lower nose setting, and we're back looking at the rest of the sky. So that's a slow cruise. How do we get out of slow cruise? First off, we speed up. 2300 RPM. Watch for the balloon effect of the aircraft wanting to raise. Wait until the speed starts increasing, and we'll bring the flaps up. You don't want to drop the flaps to 0 with no speed, because you'll lose a lot of lift and you'll end up plummeting to the ocean. Right, so we'll bring it to 2300 RPM. Let it speed up. We've been raising this whole time, which is really annoying. We're over thermals, I think, and I'm not holding a very good job. Yeah, putting the flaps over the ocean where the sun's starting to heat up. Thermals will really kick in. So we'll just hold 2500 for now. Alright. So we'll come around and we'll use this sandbank over here in the middle of Stratback Island as our reference point. Alright, so we're going to do a quick climb up to 3000. So we did a climb, our best rate of climb, leaving the airfield. So let's go ahead and do that again today. So best rate of climb, we've got our reference point. So full throttle. Best rate of climb is putting the dash onto the horizon and holding it there. Bringing it back to about 72 knots, 70 odd knots, or 66 I think it is for the Cessna. 76 for the Archer. There it is. And as you can see, just holding the back pressure there. And lower the nose. So, best rate of climb done. That's the easiest way to get up. Best rate of climb climbs up pretty good. Best angle of climb, however, is a lot slower, but, or is it the other way around? Best angle of climb was probably what we just did then. And the next one, full throttle, we'll go up to 3,500. We raise it to around the instrument level. Now, you're only going up by 500 feet, so we're going to get there pretty quickly, aren't we? We can't go any higher than that, so we're just going to lower the nose and go back into cruise. Alright, get some speed up. and bring it back to cruise. So, best angle of climb, best rate of climb, and cruise. So, best angle of climb was putting it through the dash. Best rate of climb would have been putting it through the horizon through the instruments on this aircraft. From where you're sitting, it's from where you're sitting. From the simulator's point of view, it should be the same for everybody. But in the aircraft, it'd be different. And last one was cruise climb, but we can't do cruise climb just yet. We're actually a bit high, so plus or minus 50. I'll just lower the nose just slightly. Get back down to 3,500. So we also have very similar descents as well. So we have the glide, we have cruise descent, glide descent, and we can also use flaps as well. So I'll have a look at the glide. So we have our reference point, having a look out, making sure that there's no aircraft. Our reference point is pretty much directly ahead, the coast of the island just up there. So first off, we need to bring the aircraft back to idle, carb on, and we're holding the aircraft until it drops. So once it drops down to 500 feet per minute, then we'll hold. There it is. Keep dropping the... so it's about 62 best glide speed. Right, I'll actually go and get the correct ones. So, without moving my head over to the other screen, I will get you the best glide speed and all of that right now. Right. So best glide speed is 65. Sorry about that. Alarm going off. So about 65. So that is also best rate of climb, best angular climb, which is 55. So best angular climb was the one where we put the aircraft as high as it can go, and the best rate of climb was the one where we put the climb on the dash, so the horizon on the dash. And the last one, the cruise climb, is where we just put the nose on the horizon, which we will show you in a minute. Anyways, this is the glide, which is also around about 64, 65 knots, which is roughly what we're doing at 500 feet a minute. I got a bit of back pressure there, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim back just a tad. You should be able to pretty much take your hands off the yoke. And there you have it. So a nice glide speed. We can glide all the way down for a long period of time. So this is basically your emergency descent. So you can glide for some time unless you stall. And in this particular point in time, you'll be looking for like a bit of land that you can go and land on, or road or something like that. Maybe a beach. Alright. Also, one thing that I haven't done, and this is in the sim, but every 1,000, so we probably should have done it 500 feet ago, but every 1,000 we warm the engine, okay? So, because we're using carb heat, the engine's getting a bit cold, so there's 1,500, warm the engine, bring it up to 2,000, holding it in the descent still, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back to idle. So you do that every 1,000 feet. I was talking too much, and that's what happened. So now we're going back out of the descent. Now we have it trimmed out for our descent, so just let it go, let it do its thing. Okay? Don't force it, otherwise you will have problems where you might stall, you might overspeed, whatever. Alright, so now to come out of it, we need power. So 2300 RPM. I'm going to hold it about here. 2/3 ground. I'm holding forward pressure, so forward trim. All good. Alright, so now we're going to go in the cruise climb straight away. We got our reference point. Alright. Looking out, making sure that there's no aircraft. Cool. Full throttle. And bringing the nose up to the horizon. So cruise climb, we said, was 75. Cruise climb's pretty cool. We can still see quite a bit of the air. What's above us anyways, and other than the other two climbs. And you can cover more distance whilst climbing at the same time. So yeah, if you're trying to get somewhere quick, this is a good way to do it. And yeah, but if you want to get up above the clouds, maybe best rate of climb or best angle of climb would be good for you. Best rate of climb will probably be better than best angle of climb, because best angle of climb you're slower, and maybe the turbulence isn't in your favor. So yeah, the good thing about cruise climb though is we don't have to drop the nose, so we just keep the nose there around 75 knots, which is good. And yeah, it's pretty decent. So what we'll do is we'll head back towards Mount Cotton once we get up to 3,500 using the cruise climb, and we'll show you a flap descent. So it's basically low idle with some flaps for the glide, and we also have a cruise glide as well. So you want to get there, you're still trying to get there real fast, but you want to also descend at the same time. So we use a cruise descent, and that's also set with some settings as well. Now we're only going 3,500. You should lean the aircraft. Whoa! You should somewhat lean the aircraft, which it was leaned out. I don't know why it was. Maybe that was just a touchy thing. Lean the aircraft out over 3,000, which I have just done that. You can hear the sound of the engine. Now the Cessna 152X does quite replicate the new aircraft. Hopefully it'll have a few updates in the future to make it even better. But for now, it's really good. Alright, so we'll lower the nose. Got a cloud there, so I'm going to go ahead and turn while I'm trying to sort out the aircraft. Don't want to climb, so I'm going to make sure we put it into a nose. There we go. All right. Perfect. Right, so now we are established back in our cruise, normal cruise. So our last two, so we'll do around about 1,000 with our flaps. So it's a glide descent with flaps. We can also do cruise descent with flaps as well. So what we'll do is, oh, we got that on, my bad. Alright, so we will now lower, so we'll go down there, slow the aircraft. Yeah, if you don't do your checks, you're going to have carb heat accidentally left on, all that sort of stuff, so don't want that. That's my bad. Alright, holding the nose, holding the nose, holding the nose. Alright, that's where we want it. Alright, first stage of flaps. Second stage of flaps. And that's pretty much, you don't need any more than that. This is more of the approach descent than a flap glide descent. So we'd probably have it around about 1500, but it's more than just on idle. And we'll bring out the carburetor heat whilst descending. You can hear that in the engine if you need the carb heat on, or the mixture and all that. Now we're below 3000, so we'll go ahead and put mixture back in as well. Alright, so we'll go ahead and level out at 2500, and we'll head back in, and we'll show you a cruise descent on the way back in. Before we get to target, we need to be at 1500. Alright, so we'll go ahead and power up. Now we do have flaps in still, so remember that. So you want a positive, you don't want to just dump the flaps, otherwise you can balloon and all that sort of lovely stuff, or drop out of the sky. So we are increasing, so flaps up 1. Yep, cool. Flaps up 2. We're good. Perfect. So now we're holding 2500, and we'll head back to the airfield. Bit of forward trim because I'm holding forward on the yoke. A-lap cycle, attitude, lookout, and attitude performance. Yeah, we're roughly about 2500. So where was the that was the kink in the river over here, so we'll visually track towards it. So we are increasing a little bit, so I'll lower the nose just a tad. Have a look at the RPM. It's a little high, so we'll slow that off. Sorry about this, my phone's going annoying. That's why the camera's looking bad. I do have track IR on, so that's why it's like that. Get that bloody nose down. I seem to hold always 100 high perfectly well, but I never seem to hold the other ones. If you're gaining height, even though you're fully trimmed, it's probably because your RPM's too high. Or your speed. Because speed equals lift. The more speed you have, the more lift you have. Okay? Less drag you have. Alright, I'm holding forward pressure, so I need more trim. Holding back pressure, need back trim. There we go. Alright, so 1/3 ground, 2/3 sky, having a look out. 1/3 ground, 2/3 sky. You'll get used to it. In the real world, it's a little different. It looks way different, but that's alright. That's just where you're sitting in the sim. So think about where you sit in the car, and then adjust your height. And you can use that by the arrow keys, or you can go into the settings and actually set your height before actually getting into the aircraft. Or you can sit in the aircraft and you can have the menu on transparent, and then you can set the height as looking at that, which is really, really good. I think that's Mount Cotton out there, and I'm going to hold my gun still because I think that's one of the mines over there, so that's all good. If that is the case, then we will roll to the right. I think that's the bend in the river there that we're looking for. So we'll roll to the right over here. As you can see, we're going right down. So a lot of back pressure on the trim. Now the trim in this sim is very touchy. Very, very touchy. That's alright. Make do with it. Best you can. Very well. So, again, A-laps. Attitude, 1/3 ground, 2/3 sky. Looking out. Cool. And looking back. Cool. And we just keep doing that. So, attitude, looking out for aircraft. Attitude, 1/3, 2/3, and performance, which is down there. We've got our height, which is good. And we do it again. And we look down. RPM, 2300. Looking out. Yep, cool. And done. We did drop there. I did notice that. So, pick it back up. Attitude. And speed sitting on 100, which is really good. So we've established a nice straight level flight. We've done our climbs in descents. We've still got one descent to do, which we'll do when we're heading out over Target. So Target is a building, as in a Target shopping centre. It is our VFR entry point into my phone is listening to me and I don't like it. Stupid dictation crap. I want to turn it off. I'm sick of seeing it. Yeah, so that's one of the mines just there. A bigger mine should be over the other side of the mountain. That's alright. Now real quick, what is this little ball here? Okay. That little ball is your balance ball. If you ever used balancers before with your dad's tools, or if you're a builder, you'd understand what that is. So if the what we'll do is we're in a nice cruise. So if the ball is out there, that means we are way off balance. Okay. If the ball is out to the left, we're slipping out to the right or skidding or whatever. So let's get the aircraft under control. So if the ball's out to the right, right rudder. If the ball's out to the left, left rudder. Simple as that. The G1000s are a little different. There's a purple line. If the purple line is out to the left, it is left rudder. If the purple line's out to the right, it's right rudder. So G1000 is a little different. I have to show you that. There's a cloud there, so let's turn around and get away from that. Right. So we want to start descending down to 1000. Okay. So we're going to do that in cruise. So we're going to bring that down to 2000 RPM. We're going to lower the nose to about 1000, about 500 feet a minute. Hold it there. Done. So yeah, got to remember, A-lap cycle before you do any of that stuff. Okay, my phone's going off. Okay. Don't bother me. Get rid of that. I'll just turn all my other alarms off so they don't wake us up. Cool. Alright, so in cruise climb, which is really cool, so we don't have to warm the engine. So that's one positive about that. Alright, so we got a couple of mines here. We got a mine there. So that's pretty cool. There's IKEA and target's just up here somewhere. So you want to be about 1,500 before target. Now this will pretty much only work in Archerfield. I don't know your training areas wherever you tend to fly. But if you do know your training areas, or you have a particular area that you wish to learn, yeah, using VTCs is really good. You might be able to figure out where your training areas are using a VTC. Training areas seem to be off in non-controlled airspaces. So out over that island was really good for one. The southern, well, we got a massive lads back there. The southern training area here in Archerfield, we can get up to like 7,500, 8,000, which is pretty decent. That'd be the Logan motorway to our left. So yeah, you get used to the area pretty easily, pretty quickly. So we're sitting at a nice cruise descent here. 2,000 RPM. Getting some real lag spikes. It's been really good up until now. It's just the city. So off in the distance, you can't actually see it yet, but off in the distance is Archerfield. After a little whiles of flying, it's been pretty good. So just ahead of us, so we've got IKEA there, and just ahead of us we have a yellowish building, and then target, like literally directly in front of us. That's that rectangle-ish looking building that's just about to disappear under our engine cowling. And we're coming down to 5,000. 1,500. Alright, so now we'll increase up to 2,300 RPM. Holding the nose down. So a little bit of nose pressure. Just jolting the aircraft around. Feel sorry for the passengers. And there's target just there. So that big building right there. In the real world, there's a massive target painted on top that is very faded. It's purely for aircraft, I believe. It's not actually, like, no other target buildings actually have it. Just that particular one for the aircraft. So I don't know why they did that, where IKEA is a big blue, well, in the real world it's a big blue building. That one is not. It's the very end one on the right there. That's white. That's alright. So we have our stadium coming up here on our 1 o'clock, whatever. And we got our airfield just over here. So now we're past target, or whatever, near target. We would have said, so we'll give Archerfield a call. Archerfield Airspace, Whiskey Romeo, Quebec is just east of target, inbound to land. Alright, so we would have called it at target at 1,500. So we probably should have said 1,500, but that's alright. We are in a sim, so again, take it as a grain of salt. Alright, so we are descending. We don't want to descend because, remember, some planes will be leaving at 1,000 feet. So we don't want to be doing that. Airfield's out to the left here. And there's the stadium just there. So at the stadium, we need to go back to 3,000 to let Archerfield know that we are now an Archerfield aircraft. Now it is almost 7 o'clock, but we don't have the tower yet. 7 o'clock is when the tower turns on. So we're still on Honeycomb. Now we don't have tower in unfortunate VPilot or VATSIM, whatever one calls it, VATSIM. So we just use Honeycomb, which is pretty alright. It's decent. We can still use Honeycomb frequencies. I'm still learning the frequencies and radio calls. Talking on a radio is a lot daunting than talking on stream or talking on VATSIM, even though it's very, very similar. Apparently Pilot Edge is really good for pilot training if you want to learn how to do radio calls. I can't use Pilot Edge here in Australia, but you can use it at certain airfields around the world. You just can't use it at many in Australia, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe Pilot Edge has changed since the last time I used it, or last time I looked at it. Alright, so we're coming into the airspace now, so wait for that lag to disappear. And we'll go back over to 3000, and we'll call in. Archerfield airspace, Whiskey Romeo, Quebec is inbound to land runway 10 left downwind leg. Alright, so we're at 1500, we're going on the downwind leg for runway 10 left. Well, we did one thing, we haven't done one thing properly yet, and that was listen to the ATC. Hopefully the ATC will be the same. So it's at Delta now. That's alright. We've just risen a bit. Alright, so there we are. So we want... Now this will be in circuits later. You use the strut to find out where you want the spacing of the aircraft to be. It's a lot easier than the Archer. I haven't done circuits yet, but that'll be in another video. I just wanted to rehash on my previous tutorials so you learnt a little bit more. So hopefully I still remember some and I can still now I am flying an Archer. I'm not flying a 152. I'm too tall for a 152. So yeah, I'm only using the 152 on the sim because it has carb heat, just like the Piper Archer. The 172 I don't think has. So yeah, that's why I'm using that. Alright, so what we need to do is we want to be 45 degrees from the threshold. So we're not quite there yet. We're just having a look around. So about 45 degrees from the runway, which is roughly, so that's Bunnings. So you got the bridge is just there, and you got Bunnings just there. So once our wing is behind Bunnings, once Bunnings is behind our wing, I should say, we are in the right spot. So what we'll do is we will bring it back to 1500. We'll bring the carb heat on. So this is another descent. This is our approach descent. So we're going to go ahead and hold, and 80, as you can see the white line on the speed tape there, and flaps. So as we lower the flaps, we want 1500 the whole time, and 500 feet per minute the whole entire time. Alright, so we've reached 75. We're going to go ahead and go next stage of flaps. Alright. As we increase the flaps, we need to make sure that we're looking after the RPM and we're looking after the feet per minute. So RPM is at 1500 still, and we want to keep it that. Feet per minute is at the 500, and our balance is in check. If you have all of these features, now I think this is probably going to be maybe my best landing if I don't stuff it up in the sim to date. Because everything is in the right spot. I got 1500 RPM, I'm in balance, I have got 500 feet a minute, and we are well in our normal speed. Now we're coming on final, we'll go to the last stage of flaps, and we will bring in the carb heat. So now I'll back up to 1500, 500 feet a minute. So your speed is controlled now, not by trimming and all that, but by your power. At pretty much this stage of the game. So my aim point, I'm aiming just beyond the numbers. Okay, that's where I want my aircraft to crash, if it crashes. Okay, I don't want to actually crash, but that's the impact point. So if I was to hold this, I would crash into that point, just beyond the numbers. Well, once we get down to the threshold, we're going to release, well, bring the throttle back to idle, and we're going to fly level with the runway until we start lowering. So it's still coming in. Looks pretty steep, doesn't it? But it's not. It's only 3%. Alright, we're at the threshold. There, throttle back. We're going to start raising the nose. Hold, 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 hold. We're starting to lower. Now we're going to raise the nose even more so we can't see the runway anymore. Stall, and bam. I would say that would be one of the best landings I've ever done in a simulator to date. Since learning how to do it all correctly. So thank you very much for that, and I am absolutely pleased that that was a gracious landing on a video on my channel. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and vacate the runway, and we'll go ahead and call Archfield Grand Whiskey Romeo Quebec, taxiing to the eastern apron. Right, so we do have runway 4 right here, so we're not going to turn our lights off just yet. We're going to wait until we pass the holding point. And there it is. So landing lights off, strobes off, transponder to standby, flaps up, there we go, and that's it there. So now what we're looking, sorry, as I scroll on the checklist,